So would you say that you favor a more individualized approach, where we're not approaching the issue as a girls versus boys thing, but rather looking for individual talents?
Definitely think we need to look at it as an individual thing. I hate grouping people into any sort of groups, because I don't think everyone can fit into, even if you have a handful of molds, I don't think you could fit everyone into those molds, boys or girls or whatever. You need to have all the options out there so that each person as an individual can find the right option for them.
So what do you think specifically should be done to help girls find their career?
Well, I think one of the first things we can do is get more guidance counselors for the students, and not just the ones who are struggling students or who are missing classes or having trouble in high school, but for the students who are doing well but just don't know where they want to go or aren't sure where they want to go.
So you think that the contact with guidance should come before their senior year in high school?
Absolutely. Senior, you're kind of a little late. You could even go onto the Engineer Girl website and they'll tell you you need to take these classes if that's what you want to do. So students need to figure out what they want to do prior to taking these classes so that they can take the right ones. It needs to start more in middle school, 6th, 7th grade.
Okay, so what else do you think can be done to help girls and just students in general find their way to their career while they're in high school?
We have things like career day or take your daughter to work day or whatever, but those are only 1 or 2 days out of the year. That's not enough to go over everything. I think it needs to be incorporated into the curriculum about careers, maybe an internship, somewhere where they can get more information about several careers, about what happens day to day, if they're an engineer, if they're a mathematician or whatever.
So do you think we should approach engineering and science the way we approach vocational ed?
I think that's definitely one way we could do it. We have a vocational track where the students take auto tech and heating and air and classes so they can go into the workforce in those fields straight out of high school. What I think we need to do is offer vocational classes for career fields for after college. So like engineering vocational classes and mathematician and any career like that. And the class itself wouldn't focus on the science behind engineering. We have the physics classes for that. It would be focusing on what engineers do daily, like at work, what's their day like and things like that. And that's where we could incorporate the internships and things like that is into these classes.
So why do you think your approach is better than either Engineer Girl or the idea that you shouldn't even bother trying to talk to girls about engineering because they're just different from boys?
Well, my issues with those approaches is like you have Engineer Girl who says girls are different, so we're going to attract them differently than we would boys because that's just how we have to get their attention. I think if you think girls can be engineers and you want to pull them into the field, treat them like they're intelligent enough to be engineers. You don't need to dumb down the material on your website to attract the girls. And then with the other approach, with thinking they're just different and you're just not going to get their attention, I think that's ridiculous. We have several female engineers who totally counter that, and I don't think you can group all girls into the same category and say, well, they're just different. They're not going to be engineers because they don't want to be. Some girls want to be engineers. Some girls don't. Not because they're girls or boys or whatever. It's just that person being a person doesn't want to be an engineer, or does want to be an engineer, or whatever.
So how does your position on this relate to the tension in the problem and your conception of a democratic education?
Well, the tension in the problem, for the most part, is more about people being politically correct. You have feminists who don't want to acknowledge there are any differences between boys and girls. And then you have these researchers and neurologists who are saying, well, there are differences and that's just the way it is, so don't bother. I think a democratic education needs to be individualized to each student. If a student wants to be an engineer, then that is what their education should help them work towards it. And so grouping them into girls or boys or whatever isn't part of my conception of a democratic education. So what I really want to do is emphasize that these career classes and things that I've been talking about are not meant to push students in any one direction. That's not what I think we should do. I think students should choose what they want to do, but I think we need to make all possible opportunities available to them so that they can make that decision and make it an informed decision.